Here we go.
Good.
There we go.
Touchdown! Never done that before.
Boom.
Boom. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harris and Young. I've lost count of the number of episodes I've done since we moved the show to Bridgewater, but the guests are just getting better and better. It's a hot day out there, and this guest here, this is one of the most important sports media persons, and I just found him like a few months ago in our area. He's an author. His name is Robert Hyldburg Jr. He's written this book about the New England Patriots, great five-time world champion football team. This book has just about statistics in just about every Patriot since the inception of the team in 1960. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we're going to discuss his book today. We're going to discuss his history in the sports media, and he's pretty well hooked up with a lot of the people. I'd say the entire Patriots team. I've seen pictures with him with many of the Patriots, past and present. We're going to talk all about that, and we're going to interview him. So, Robert, what do you go by, Robert or Bob?
Bob is fine.
Okay, Bob is quicker, so we got a half hour. So
Yeah,
we'll go
one
quicker.
syllable. Yep.
Cool, that's working. So, Bob, thank you for coming in and being
Thank
on
you for having me.
Topic Time today. Okay. Well, so you are you're definitely a media mogul, and I'd say it was meant to be, because you had a story that I read yesterday. You've been plugging the show for the last few days, and it's been great.
Sure.
You went to your first Patriots game 43 years ago, so that would have been 1974. Is that true?
No, actually, the first game I went to was 1967.
Okay. So yeah, I wondered why you wrote 43 years. Okay, so it's been 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my uncle worked at Polaroid.
Okay.
And Gino Capoletti came to his work.
Fine.
And they had
okay. And that was Gino and Gil were even that far back with the radio broadcasters for the team, were they? Or
No, Gino was playing.
Gino was. That's right. What am I thinking? Gino was the play.
Yeah.
Gino was the. He was the quarterback.
He
right?
was
he's the kicker.
He started as a defensive back.
Okay.
Then he transferred to wide receiver or flanker, what they called back then, and he was the kicker. He's actually the guy that scored the first points in the history of the American Football League.
That is awesome.
He kicked a 35-yard field goal in the first game played, which was on a Friday night in 1960.
Wow.
Against the
September
Denver
9th.
Broncos. No, it was September 9th.
Yeah.
1960.
I was just about a year old then.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Gino wrote the foreword for my book. So,
I know.
So Gino comes to my uncle's job and says, I'm part of the 1776 fan club. Can we have you buy some tickets? He bought a ticket, took my dad and himself and myself. And then after the game, it was at Fenway Park.
Right.
We actually got on the field and walked on the field and met Gino when I was 9 years old.
That's awesome.
And then many years later, I've spent a lot of time with Gino. Gino wrote the foreword for my book. So you figured, a 9-year-old kid that I hadn't even started playing football yet. The next year I started playing football.
What, Pee Wee, Pop Warner?
Pee Wee. I played for the Bridgewater Pee Wee Cubs.
Cool. And you grew up here in Bridgewater too, by the way. So
Yep.
some of you folks in Bridgewater in fact, I bet a lot of you guys may remember him, may recognize him.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Okay, I remember him if nothing else. But
yeah, I
some of his
graduated
teammates may
in
be watching.
76. But
Yeah.
I played football for the Bridgewater
Pee Wee.
Cubs.
Wow.
And a lot of guys that are still out there. I see on Facebook, I just posted a roster from 1968
Yeah,
a
I
couple
saw
days
that.
ago.
Wow.
Mark Cloudman and
Okay.
Jeff Whitty and Paul LeClaire and
You gotta
Bob
understand,
Levy.
I grew up in Brockton, so I don't
know.
really know any of those people.
But I'm saying hello to all these guys because
I
they
know
saw
them,
me
sure,
on
absolutely.
Facebook and stuff. And
Cool. Okay.
Tony Zonfrelli, there's a Tony Zonfrelli field not far from here.
Right, okay.
Legion Field. So he was the head coach. My father was an assistant coach.
Wow.
Coach Thornton, Coach Balboni, Coach Holmes.
Bunky Holmes.
Bucky Holmes.
Oh, I know Bunky because I have a history. I have a sports history in Bridgewater too. In 1988, I wrote for the Independent. I was the beat writer for the BR baseball team.
Oh, sure.
And Bunky was their coach. How's he doing now?
So Bunky Holmes actually knows Steve Grogan from back in the Kansas
I know.
days.
I got a story about Steve Grogan too. Did you? In fact, you know what? It's a funny story. It's not, I accidentally, back on Friday, June 20th, 1986, he was playing at the Pro-Am. That was the year the Patriots went to their first Super Bowl. And
That's
as I
right.
recall,
Yep.
Grogan was the only. He got the only touchdown for the team in the game against the Bears back.
The Bears, yep.
Yeah, he threw the lone touchdown pass
on a fourth down play to Irving Fryer.
Right,
Yeah.
Irving Fryer. That was
Yeah.
in a 46-10 debacle.
Right.
But on Friday, June 20th, 1986, he was playing at the Pro-Am, and I'm sure you've been there a few times.
I haven't. I'm not
You've
a
never
golfer.
been. You're not okay, but you never just gone in to see some of the players of the
I've done
Boston
some
sports
charity
teams?
events, but I'm not a golfer. But
You're not a golfer. I'm not either, but I went in there that day. 'Cause
Yep.
and by the way, the golf course, the 18th hole is right behind my house, so I'm
There you go.
still right in the neighborhood.
yeah, right down the street. Yeah.
Exactly. So I went in there. And I saw him, and he was putting, and I knew he'd had some gimpy knees and stuff, and I was so proud of him getting throwing that touchdown pass. And you know how you're not supposed to talk to someone when they're about to when they're addressing the ball.
In golf,
well, he
yeah.
was he was swinging the club, and I figured he was just taking some practice shots, which he was. But what I didn't, for some reason, that ball was sitting there and was in my blind spot. So I said, "So Steve, how's the knee doing?" And he goes, "Good." And I'm like, "Well, what's his problem?" And then I saw what his problem was when he shanked the putt, which was like less than a foot from the hole. And I says, "Oh my God, I didn't see the ball." Oh, I'm so what can I do? I was standing there, he was glaring at me, and I feel like I was so embarrassed. And I'm hoping someday maybe I'll get him on the show. We can have a good laugh over it. It was 31 years ago.
Sure,
We have a good time about that. Maybe.
No, Steve's a great guy.
He is, yeah. I mean, I know he's a great guy, and I'm a big. My own story is, and that's the Steve Grogan story that I thought I'd tell you.
Yep.
But let's get to your book. How did you end up incorporating your knowledge of sports into that awesome book there?
Well, growing up, I lived in Tilcott Street, Alden Square,
Yep.
over by the prison, and
That must have been exciting.
so
Yeah.
I have three sisters,
Okay.
and no brothers. So next door to us was the Poes.
The which?
The Poes. John Poe, Jeff Poe, Jan Poe, Jerry Poe.
Oh, the Pose, the name, like
POH.
Edgar Allan Pose.
Yep.
I got you.
Jimmy Poe. So they all played football. So
Okay.
I started playing football with them because we get in their station wagon and we take the 6-mile trip up to Legion Field and play with them.
That's right, because it's on the outskirts. It's closer to the Middleborough line
Yes,
than it is
indeed,
to,
yeah.
right. Okay.
Off
Yeah, I know
Summer
the
Street.
area.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So that's how I got kind of hooked up with football, and my dad was the coach, and
Wow.
one thing led to another, and I was a pretty shy guy in high school, so
Yep.
I started a sports club.
Okay.
So just to kind of break out and collecting stats and stories. So
Yep.
72, 73 with Bobby Orr and
Yeah,
Phil
I did it with Bobby
Esposito
Orr
and
in
all that stuff.
'74, so I know. Right. Okay.
So I started following hockey. I started collecting football cards and
Right.
baseball cards and knowing the statistics. And I was actually a geek in high school. I was on the math team and I was
Okay,
on the
but did you
science
play
team.
football in high school too?
I did.
Okay,
Yep.
but you were an athletic geek.
Sort of. I
Well, you
wasn't
played
that
on the
athletic.
football team, and
Yep.
you had it all. You were bright, and you had the brawn and the brains. Nothing
So,
wrong with that.
Number
but go on.
86, so I was a tight end.
Yeah.
And actually, played with Rich Doobie. Rich Doobie is a quarterback,
Okay.
and Rich Doobie is now the pitching coach in the major league. He was a pitching coach for the Philadelphia
Oh,
Phillies,
was he?
the
Okay, I know
Florida
the name.
Marlins.
Sure. Yep.
I think he's for Detroit now. Donnie Perhovich was another guy that I
Okay.
played Little League baseball with,
Cool.
and he actually won the punt, pass, and kick competition.
What, the one they do at halftime at the NFL games?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow. So he was quite the athlete back then.
Sure.
So I wasn't in their leagues at all, but
Well, okay.
But,
you
played
were
with them
I
anyways,
mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But your skill was in putting the stats together and writing about it.
So then I
Yep.
went on to Northeastern and became an accountant.
Okay.
So I always liked the numbers and the stats, and one thing led to another, and I wanted to collect the information, every uniform number of every player.
Wow.
And that started. And then one of the things that I did is that I called Gil Santos
Okay.
from Rainham. When we moved to Rainham, Gil
I mean,
Santos' son.
he knew you because you knew Gino, right? Or
well,
how did you get to
actually,
meet
I
Gil?
hooked up through Ronnie Hobson and
Okay.
Ron Borges and Nick Cafado and
Right. Okay.
Richard
The
Johnson.
WEI
of
guys.
The Sports Museum and
Right.
the WEI and
Yep.
some of the Sports Patriot Ledger and
Sure.
some of the guys that are out there. So I started networking and meeting reporters, Steve Burton,
Wow.
those kind of guys. And then I
How about
ended-
Roachy?
I know Danny Roach. Yeah,
Cool.
Yep.
He's a Facebook friend. Definitely love to get these people on the show if I
Yep.
could. But go on.
So I ended up going to the New England Sports Museum.
Yeah.
and
Where is
going
that
through.
exactly? Is that Boston?
It's actually in the garden now.
Oh, it is?
But
Okay,
at
yeah.
one time, it was across from WBZ and Soldier Field Road.
Soldier
So
Field
they
Road,
had all
sure.
these archives of
Yep.
all these magazines and brochures and media guides. So
Right.
I started collecting that stuff, and I find out that there was 13 blocked field goals.
Wow. Okay.
So I said, well,
You
let me-
mean for the Patriots
for
and
the
the history
Patriots
of their
and
team?
the history of their team.
Wow.
So I said, well, let me find out all 13. Who did it, when it happened, how it happened.
Now, this was before any of their Super Bowl wins, right?
This is 1994,
Oh, it is, way
95.
before that.
So this was just kind of a hobby that I was doing some stuff and collecting these
Sure,
things.
okay.
And collecting the
Abstract
uniform numbers.
statistics, but
and then
important ones.
getting nicknames of some of the players.
Right.
And then, Steve Grogan would do autograph signings and stuff. And I went to him one time and I says, do you remember ever throwing a touchdown pass? He said, I don't even know all my touchdowns. I threw 186 touchdowns.
Well, if you didn't remember that, he may not remember that golf shank either. But time will tell. Go on. Yeah.
So guys that would come in and do autograph signings, what I would do is that I would have all their stats. So
Right.
if Steve Grogan, the next time he came into town, or Raymond Claiborne, or Stanley Morgan, or
Right.
Russ Francis, the guys that I grew up with,
Yep.
when they came to town, I would have all their stats, all their touchdowns, all their running or whatever. Grogan ran for 35 touchdowns. I would have every
Wow.
single one of their plays. So when someone got their autograph, you also got all his stats, who
So
he
you
did it.
compiled them and give them to the players? Is that how
I give it to the
worked?
players
Wow.
and everyone that was getting an autograph.
That is awesome. So you were like, the go-to guy for the stats.
I was Bob the Stat Man.
Man, that's awesome. So you began writing this book in 1994?
I started collecting the information
started
on a
collecting the
part-time
info, okay.
basis here and there.
All right.
And then I ended up getting on Eddie Edelman's TV show,
Oh,
the
Eddie's-
radio show rather.
I've been
and,
on the show a couple of times too.
and we wanted to get Gino Cappelletti into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Right. Wow.
So I said, all right, let me collect some stuff and try to get Gino into the Hall of Fame. We had a petition. We had the hot dog safari.
Okay.
And we had thousands of people sign the petitions. We sent it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we got close. We needed 6 out of the 9 guys to vote. We had 5. We needed one more guy to vote for Gino to get in, and there was 4 guys that just wouldn't do it.
Why not?
There was an AFL, NFL kind of thing,
Okay.
because of.
They figured but this was so many years later. You figured, Gino could have played. Was Gino still active when the leagues merged or not?
Yes, he went from 1960 to 1970.
Okay, so he was still on the team.
he was still on the team.
once the merger happened. So did he?
Right.
Well,
But they only
Okay.
they only played 2 playoff games. So there was no wild card back then.
Right, I know, yeah.
They had one playoff game, they beat Buffalo, and then they went out to San Diego and lost to San Diego. So a lot of the guys looking at it and saying, some of these guys was the San Diego, Lance Allworth and
Right.
that kind of stuff, and the Jets beating the Colts. There was a couple of guys that made it into the Hall of Fame because they won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
or a championship. The Patriots only had 2 playoff games, and one of them they got crushed, similar to that
Okay,
game
yeah.
against the Bears. So that kind of didn't help him too much.
I understand. Okay.
So in the process of trying to get Gino into the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
I got a relationship with Ron Borges, and Ron Borges actually gives the presentation to the people in the room and
Yeah,
said,
Boston
"This is
Globe,
why."
Ron Borges.
Right. Well, now
Okay.
he's the Herald.
Right. Oh, the Herald. Okay.
Yeah, but he was at the
He
Globe
was
for
at the
many
Globe,
years.
Okay.
And he says, we're trying to get Andre Tippett into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So he says, I've been trying for 14 years, and they only give you a 15-year window.
Ah.
So Borges said, hey, you're Bob the Stat Man. Come up with some stats about Andre Tippett that I don't know, so the next time I give the presentation, these guys can know a little bit more about it. So
Right.
I broke it down. On 3rd down, Andre Tippett did this, and in this game he did this, and he blocked this, or
Yeah,
he was
okay.
double-teamed or whatever, and he got a sack. And I presented a bunch of different things to Borges, and Borges used some of my stats in his 15th and final presentation, and Andre Tippett gets inducted.
Yeah. But what about Gino? Did he ever get inducted?
Gino didn't get it. We're still trying.
You're still trying.
We're still trying.
Well, if
Now
I
they
can
invite-
get on that committee, I'll be happy to vote him in. I don't know
So
if that'll help.
there's a change in the committee now, and they were only inviting one guy in from previous. Now they're doing 2.
Wow. Okay.
From the past guys that have been denied.
Ah.
So we still got a shot, but it's.
I mean, if
it's
Jim
still
Rice
one
could
shot.
get in with all the empty Calvi home runs he had, so Gino should definitely get in. Just for even being just for being the guy that scored the first points for the team.
Well, he scored the most points in the American Football
There you
League.
go.
He played in every single game.
Yeah. I mean, really.
He averaged almost 10 points a game for 7.5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, it's funny when you realize, looking back on the history of the Patriots and that first Super Bowl win, everything sort of had to fall into place. And that conference final game in Pittsburgh, January 27, 2002.
Yep.
When you realize that Troy Brown made those huge he returns a blocked field goal I don't know what order it was.
Right.
But the difference in that game were those 2 special team returns for touchdowns, the blocked field goal and the punt return.
Well, you know about the punt return. So Pittsburgh punts to us.
Right.
Josh Miller punts to us, and Pittsburgh had a penalty.
Right.
So in the field, there's 2 hash marks.
Right.
Okay. And Troy Brown used to go right up the middle. So
Yep.
they were
those
watching.
big wide
Rather than go
glare
to
in
the
his
right or
eyes,
left,
too,
he'd
which-
go up the middle.
Yeah.
So when they brought the ball back, they put it on the other hash mark.
Right.
So when they first punted, they were on the left hash mark. When they brought it back, they put it on the right hash mark.
Okay.
And when Josh Miller punted it, the guys that were running ran to the right,
They knew what they were doing.
and they, instead of going straight down, and Troy Brown caught an opportunity, saw it opening
knew
in
what
the
he
middle,
was doing,
they
right.
went right up the middle. So
Wow.
if they brought it back to the left hash mark, which is what they should have done, he might not have returned that punt for a touchdown.
Yeah, but it worked out great. We couldn't
Yeah.
ask for a better. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That in the tuck game and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let me ask you this: You've gone
Yes.
at the, now that you've completed the book. I take it it's a best-selling book among the New England sports readers, correct?
We've sold over 10,000 copies of this book all over the world.
Wow.
It's been a huge success. Yeah.
Incredible. Okay. Now you sell them in Barnes and Noble, sell them online
They're
everywhere.
very difficult to get now. I mean, they've been out.
Okay.
It's been out for a while now. It was at Borders, and Borders closed. It was at Barnes and Noble, and now they printed 12,000. We've sold 10,000. So I don't know actually know how many are left
Well,
out there. They're collector's editions now.
I'm sure there are. Well, are they going to print more?
No, what we're doing now with this book is I'm updating all the stats since this book came out, and we're actually going to have it in a Patriots Hall of Fame display.
Okay. What, a Patriot Place?
So you go to the Patriots Hall of Fame and
Yeah.
you want to find a particular player that played in 1973.
Yep.
You push his name down, Steve Kiner, and he played 19, and it'll give you a little football card story about
Cool.
what he did that year or whatever stat.
But your royalties must be looking pretty good from all this, right?
Well, you
mean,
don't make a lot of money selling books. You do it with public speaking
Right.
and getting people to, hire you to come in and tell stories and
And they
that
do,
kind of-
right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
of course, yeah. All right, so let me ask you something. Now we can compare notes. I've told you that one of the best regular season Pats game I went to was in
Yep.
'76.
Yep.
Was October 3rd, which was my 17th birthday.
That's right.
They beat the Raiders 48-17. The Raiders were on their way to their first Super Bowl win, and that was
Right.
their only loss back when it was still a 14-game season.
Correct.
The best, the game itself wasn't the only spectator sport. There were 2 guys just before remember this was a year before Tom Brady was born.
Yeah.
So there were 2 guys in trench coats, like 3 rows in front of us. They were just all of a sudden they were together. They started duking it out, boom, 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 and the security guards showed up. They made them empty their pockets. They each had like enough hard liquor in there to open
You
a
bring in the
branches.
little nips and stuff.
Just
sure.
right. I mean, just before. I mean, no, these weren't nips. These were big bottles. I'm
Okay.
telling you, I couldn't believe that they could fit so many big bottles in the game.
Yep.
But I remember some of the stats in that game, and one of them was that was Steve Grogan had 4 rushing touchdowns, which I think is pretty close.
No,
to,
he didn't have 4.
Didn't he have 4?
No.
I thought he did. All right, Andy Johnson had 200 yards rushing, so maybe
No, Angie didn't have 200 yards rushing.
we're talking about October. All right, you know the stats better than me. If you want to make a fool out of me, go ahead. It's your show. You're the guest. Go ahead.
No, Andy Johnson scored. Daryl
They
Stingley,
stopped
Daryl
man
Stingley
by Mark
scored.
Van Egan in his tracks.
Yes,
and Stabler
indeed.
too, the late Ken Stabler. Yep.
So one of the stories that I heard about that game is that the year before the Patriots won 3 games. They were 3-9,
75.
75.
Yep.
So the Oakland Raiders didn't really think that the Patriots were anything to really get fired up about.
Well, nobody did. I mean, the week before they beat Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh 30-27 on a block. It was an amazing game. Remember,
Yep.
and that's when Pittsburgh was the defending champs.
Yep.
With Brad Sharp and Franco Harris and those
Sure.
guys,
Yep.
and the Steel Curtain.
Yep.
And they went in there and they beat them in Pittsburgh, and then they beat Oakland. And you know when Tony McGee made that sack on Stabler in the 3rd quarter that the game was a rout, and we were just flipping out. And when the game ended at 4:10 in the afternoon, when the final gun went off, that coincided with my birth moment 17 years earlier. So that's totally symbolic. Best present I ever got.
So Kenny Stabler and Fred, but
Go ahead, if you have about the statistics to share, go for it.
they actually missed the hotel bus.
Okay.
So when usually the players get there like an hour or 2 before the game to get dressed and everything. And I heard a story that Biletnikoff and Ken Stabler were in the parking lot drinking booze before the game.
Oh,
because
they're almost taking the fun away from it now for me.
That they were like, the Patriots. They beat the Steelers, and they got this hotshot team, but we're not worried about this game.
But look at this, though. That was the first winning team in history. I don't know about during the AFC years before the merger,
Yeah.
but during the NFC, during the years since the merger, no Patriot team even came close to have it. They finished 11-3. They finished with a better record in '76
Yep.
than they did in any of their Super Bowl winning years.
That's true.
Statistically,
Yep.
even though they have, the 11. Well, maybe not 14-2 seasons, but definitely the
Well, that was-
11-5 one.
Right.
And if it weren't for and I'm sure you remember, they had the rematch in Oakland, the playoff game on Saturday, December 18th.
Yep.
And were it not for that stupid roughing the passer call by Ben Drake, the ref, on Sugar Bear Hamilton, who was my favorite defensive player in that team. I could name just about every player on that team because I remember how close I followed them that year. We had to listen to a lot of the games on the radio because they didn't even sell out.
Right.
I remember I listened to December 5th. There was a game against New Orleans. And it was blacked out. You remember the 75-mile rule?
Sure.
You do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we used to go to,
he probably went to Connecticut to watch the
Connecticut
game.
or North Adams State, way out in,
That's North Adams State, right near the New York State line, the last
Yep.
town before the state line.
yeah, we used to go out there
Wow.
and watch it there. Yep.
Okay. So, well, all right. Well, so there's just you pretty much know the statistics of every single game going back to when they were pretty close.
Some of that stuff.
You've
yep.
compiled it in that book.
That's it. So, I mean, but Stingley was the stinger. I mean, he was great, and Russ Francis. So in that playoff game,
Yeah.
there's a third down
Right.
where Russ Francis goes and just turns around, and they needed 5 yards, and he went 7 yards, and he was right there, and Grogan's pass came and hit Russ Francis right in the chest. The problem is that Russ Francis couldn't bring his arms to catch the ball because Phil Villapiano had grabbed his arms.
And it wasn't interference. You think it should have been called?
So the ref is standing right there,
Yeah?
and
Wow.
Russ Francis could not free his arms from the hold to Phil Villapiano to make the catch, and that was a key play, and
Yeah.
we had to punt the ball.
And then right.
So a few years later, Russ Francis has retired,
Right.
and he's living in Hawaii,
Yep.
and he was a pilot,
Yep.
and one of his jobs was to take people and fly them around the volcanoes of Hawaii.
Okay.
So the Pro Bowl is in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right.
So Phil Villapiano makes the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
So Russ Francis calls Villapiano and says, "Hey, you're in town. I want to take you and your wife out, and we'll take you on my private plane, and we'll show you the volcanoes and the beauty of Hawaii. I love Hawaii." He says, "I know we had some issues in the past, but I'm retired. I'm a low-key guy. You'll love it."
Okay.
So he takes the plane and he's flying, and as he's flying, he takes the plane and he kind of puts it sideways so you can kind of look down into the volcanoes and the mountains.
Yeah.
And as he's flying the plane sideways, he reaches back, Russ Francis, and takes Villapiano's seatbelt and unbuckles the seatbelt.
Yeah.
And then as he unbuckles the seatbelt, he takes the door and he opens the door.
Really?
So now you got
6,000 feet above the
6'5",
world.
Phil Villapiano,
Yeah.
kind of trying to brace himself from falling out of the plane into the volcano.
Oh, my goodness.
His wife is screaming hysterically,
Wow.
trying to get Russ Francis. He only does it for about a half a second or two.
It's a joke, right?
And then he leans it off and he kind of levels it off. And he says, "Hey, remember that when you held me in that playoff game?" He says, "Now we're even."
Oh, man. What happened when they landed? Did they have a...
No, the wife certainly
they
wasn't.
forgive each other or what?
No, I mean, I'm sure Russ Francis had scar marks on his neck from
Oh,
the wife
man.
kind of screaming and yelling. But,
Oh, man, that's unbelievable.
but that's a crazy.
How did you find that out?
I talked to Russ Francis about it.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Russ. He was Gronk before Gronk.
What about the, now do you still keep in touch with, the Patriots of the 70s, like, Raymond Claiborne and all,
Yeah.
those guys and everything?
Yeah, he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Timmy Fox, and I saw you with Steve Nelson.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
he a dentist now? No, no, who was a dentist? It's Ken McAfee, but he wasn't for the Patriots. He became a...
Oh, Bill Lenkitis was their dentist.
Yeah, Bill Lenkitis,
He
okay.
passed a year or two ago.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
right.
But
I remember...
Nelly and Lenk had a restaurant together.
I remember in a
in
game
Canton.
against Buffalo, also in '76. I seem to recall that Lenkitis was he was the
center.
He was the center.
And in that 76, he didn't get called for a holding penalty once throughout the whole year.
Wow.
In that Oakland game, he got called for 3 of them.
Wow. Oh, okay, the one that you're talking about, the playoff game.
The
Yeah,
playoff
okay.
game, and like something's fixed there. When the guy doesn't get any holding penalties the whole year, and then he gets 3 in one game.
Yeah.
There was
That's
a fix
probably
it.
true.
There
I
was a
mean,
fix in it, you know.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. So you
Yeah.
have you done any, in terms of, like, you always post stats about other sports too, like Red Sox
Yep.
memorabilia.
Anything that's appropriate for the day, you know,
Yep.
the Celtics or whatever. Yep.
Your anniversary. I happen to have been at the Celtics championship win on June 8th, 1986 against Houston. I was at the clinching game.
There you go.
Yeah, and that was awesome because I got a ticket from WBZ. They were auctioning it off at Children's Hospital, and I outbid everybody. It was worth it. I mean, it's something I may not have grandchildren to tell the story to, but it's just
there you go. It's on TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
So have you ever been at any of the championship wins in person? Were you at the Red Sox wins at all? You were maybe at the 2013 final game in Fenway or any of the games on the road even?
No, I've been to a lot of Red Sox games. I was in one of the playoff games in '81.
Okay.
When I went to Northeastern.
That was during the strike year.
No, the Celtics. The Celtics in '81.
Oh, the '81 Celtics, right?
81 Celtics.
Okay. Wow.
But went to a few games, but never been to a final game. No.
You never have been? Okay.
No.
Never gone to a Super Bowl or anything like that?
No. We usually have Super Bowl parties at our house.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure you do, but why, the Patriots having won 5 Super Bowls, you think, you're Bob the stat guy, you think they'd invite you?
Yeah, well, they have their own staff. When I was
No, but it's because
years,
you've been so helpful to them for creating this book for them.
Yeah, well, it's in the Patriots Hall of Fame. I mean,
Oh, it is. Yeah, you should be too.
Stuff. I mean, this is as close
Oh
as
yeah,
I came.
sure. Hold that up. That's
So, this is my first game. That's me right there.
there you go.
And I work as a photographer for the NFL for all the Patriots home games.
Wow.
So the last 12 years. So I take about 1,000 pictures during a game. I don't know if you can see that with the glare.
That must be incredible. Yeah, go ahead. We'll move it up. Just wiggle it so people can see. Is that you holding your arms up?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was standing next to the banner. So
Okay.
before they unveiled that banner, there was an NFL banner, and they
Right.
peeled up the NFL banner and showed this 2004. So this is my first game working for the NFL at the Patriots home games, and I've been there ever since.
So you take photographs for the teams too. Do you get anything in Sports Illustrated?
No, so what we do is there's a team of 4 of us, and
Yep.
we take pictures,
Yep.
and it's called player participation.
Right.
So I'm in one end zone where that banner used to be, and there's another guy on top of the scoreboard.
Yep.
And we take pictures so we can identify all 22 players on every play.
Awesome. And they pay you for this, right?
They do.
Oh man, that is
Yeah.
so cool.
So it's a pretty cool game.
It is. It is.
You know?
Wow. So is that your full-time work is basically sports media now, right?
No, this is all a hobby.
It's a hobby.
This is a hobby for some time. What I do for work is I do employee benefits for small businesses.
Okay.
26 years. So, I deal with companies that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, whether you're dealing with Harvard or Tufts or Delta
Okay.
Dental or Principal or.
So it sounds like it's legal stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So it's all
You got a law
financial stuff.
degree from Northeastern? I know you said
No,
you went
I
there.
have an accounting
degree. Okay,
Yep.
you were a CPA. Well, guess what?
I
We're
wasn't
actually
a CPA, but I was just an accountant. Yep.
we're almost out of time here. You want to just give it? You gave some shouts out at the beginning.
Yep.
So I hope you had a good time on the show and that we covered a lot of stuff that you wanted to cover and that you
Yeah, tell
everybody
everyone
about
from
Topic
Bridgewater,
Time.
hello, and Spirit of 76,
Yeah.
go Trojans, and say hi to Tony Sonfrelli and his whole family.
Hi,
and
Bunky Holmes. I hope you're doing well. Crazy man, you.
That's it.
I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote it. I gave him some nice press in the Bridgewater Independent.
There you go. Cool.
Okay. Well, so that's it. So what I want you to do is just tell everybody, tell all the people that you know on Facebook, that other people we talked about Topic Time. Love to get them on. Love to get Lenny Clark, the crazy comedian, on as a guest. It would be great if you could, say something to him. It would be awesome.
Sure.
And
So Scott Thompson, I'm going to hook up with you soon at a Patriots game, and anyone else, Bob the Stat Man on Twitter. Just reach me at Bob the Stat Man on Twitter, and we can come by and say something for the game. I get to a Patriots game a couple hours beforehand. Come by, say hi.
there you go.
You
Go
know?
Pats. I love the way the division's going this year. It's a tough season, but no team in the AFC East is under 500, and that's hard to believe.
Yeah, well,
that's what makes
that's
sports
why we
great.
love football.
That's why we love all sports. And on that note, are you ready to rock and roll here?
That's it.
We'll
Let's do it.
We'll throw the football back and forth. Folks, thanks for watching Topic Time. See you again next time. Take care.
Boom. Oh, fumble!
Fumble! Hey, always never do the all expected on Topic Time.
That's it. He's got it going on.
We do.